Welcome to my digital city. This isn't real, it's digital. Previously, I finished off the alley and began planning the buildings towards the waterfront. In this episode, I'm going to continue by adding a large factory that's serviced by the spur. If you haven't watched the previous 3 episodes, you can find the playlist in the description box below. To begin, I added the main road that ends at the embankment at an alcove under the switch. I'm using the snot road technique mainly because it allows nice narrow road paint lines and a wide variation of techniques to make cracks. This kind of alcove at the end appeared in my city up to the early 90s, but unfortunately I can't find any pictures and I think none of them exist anymore as all the areas around the embankments have been rebuilt or blocked by condos. So I built one in my city. Mine is dirtier and slowly filling up with garbage and has all these gross water stains. I saw some others use these graffiti stickers on their Lego city builds, so I decided to imitate it on my digital city. I think it fits in nicely in this damp alcove. Beside the alcove is a retaining wall for the embankment. It marks out where the main driveway and truck loading area will be for this rather large factory I'm going to be placing today. Like many embankment walls, it has a lot of vines growing up the side. This is the large factory I'm going to be placing in the city. It's very loosely inspired by this structure here. In the past, this area had a lot more industry and trackage, as we can see in this old spur here, but all that's left now is this building. The building is directly adjacent to the embankment and has access on this side to the outside at the embankment level via its second floor, but also has direct access to the main street on its ground floor. I'm not sure what this building was used for in the past. It has this pair of cool smokestacks that could have been used for exhaust for heating boiler rooms, but now it houses several businesses, including a rock climbing facility. This is my Lego version of it. It's obviously scaled down and many of the details are combined and compressed. A full replica would be too large, but it's still a big building. It has this main truck yard with a side entrance. Everything looks all dilapidated and boarded up. I do like the look of this broken down truck port. This section also includes the rail access door. I modeled it as being bricked up right now, but I might change it later. When there's an embankment, most spurs travel down a gentle grade to ground before entering the industry, but in some situations, you see that they have the spur at the level of the embankment and the industry has built up all this infrastructure to handle it. It could be because there's no space for a ramp. I've seen these things on my rail travels and I think it's really cool. The last picture here is of an old cookie factory, and it also has this elevated rail access to its warehouse. The real building does have this bricked up access, but I don't think an actual rail line went through it. I've used my imagination to merge this building with the elevated spur concepts into one build. And look, some workers think it's a great spot for lunch. It's a pretty nice spot with cool views. Doesn't look too safe though. Looks like the boss doesn't think so either. The whole switching area is interesting. It transitioned from unpaved ballasted tracks to being paved with concrete. The switch is on top of the alcove, and at the retaining wall, the wooden trestle structure begins. The front of the building has a sheet metal facade that's starting to get a bit rusty. Of course, there's some weird liquid staining the walls here too. Some of the flags are torn up, and hey, look, they got space for lease. The main entrance is here, and on the south side, the 3rd story is going to stay, but the 2 lower floors will probably be removed when I put the next building in, so I've left out the details. It will probably connect directly to this building. Like in the real building, my Lego version has access both on the upper level of the embankment and the main road. This lets the building act like a nice transition between the 2 levels. The second level has these 2 cool smokestacks. I envisioned these would be used for heating boilers or garbage incinerators. In the real building, they're side by side, but in my version, I separated them so the spur entrance wouldn't be so visually crowded. They start with the boiler room portion, which is an extension outside the main factory, on top of which the stacks are protruding. They are primarily built with dark red 4x4 rounded bricks at the widest point. Reddish brown 4x4 rounded tiles are used to break up the uniformity of the smokestack and make it look like the prototype. I scattered in reddish brown bricks to break up the repetitiveness. As we travel up, the smokestacks become narrower by using 6x6 half cylinders. Again, using 6x6 reddish brown plates after each cylinder to add some detail. At the very top, we transition to just using 2x2 rounded bricks. The transition portion using 3x3 rounded corner bricks. The very top bricks being dark brown and capping it all off with dark brown tiles. On the second level, there is this road and loading dock following the angled walls of the factory. Also inspired by the real building, this dock has a series of garage doors for cargo unloading and access to the second floor of the factory. This dock is bookended with the smokestack structures. Here on this side, there will need to be some transition to the lower ground. There will probably be another building here. The angle in this dock was a bit tricky to get in place, and I designed the building before adding the dock, so the angle of the triangular tiles didn't quite line up. I ended up hiding the real ugly parts with some barrels and junk. Beside this factory, there will be a road leading to this area, but I'm not sure what will be here just yet. What I like about this building, both on the prototype and Lego build, is that the roof isn't flat. There is this interesting pair of triangular projections. They're not the same size and slightly offset from each other. The ends of each exposed sides are capped by a vertical wall with a single window. Vents and other piping straddle the sides of this structure. It's made up of light aqua tiles with sand green sprinkled in. While you can't see it, on the inside, hinge plates were used to get the angles and hold it down to the roof. Well, that's all for now. I like how the building looks and fits in with the surrounding topography. In this episode, I started by adding the road and alcove below the embankment and finished off by building this large factory that's serviced by the spur on the upper level. I'm still building towards the waterfront, and I may actually skip ahead and start with that on the next episode since I'm really excited about that part. We'll see what happens. Thanks for watching.